And welcome to another edition of Speaking for Him with your host, the great, the mighty, the awesome, the lookout. He's going to run you over, Andrew Gamison.
All right, well, that was quite the introduction. And as you can tell, hopefully, my voice is back, which I'm grateful for.
It is back.
I've been listening through the last batch of shows before this recording session, and my voice was really given a run for its money on those last group of shows, but I am back to full strength and excited about that. Glad to be here. Right about now, we are into February. It's kind of the point in our winter situation where we're like, when is spring going to come? I'm kind of stir crazy to get out and do some walking in the park again like I did last summer. But that'll be a while yet. So how do we shake off the winter blahs? Well, I have a great idea for you, and that is to visit one of my favorite spots, Master Arts Theater, for their winter comedy. This year they are doing Imaginary Invalid, and I'm very interested in this show, particularly because a lot of the shows that they do, I have at least some idea without reading up on them what they're about. But this one really threw me. It's kind of a different show than they've done. It's an older show, and so it'll be really interesting to see that put together. And so for today's show, I have an interview that I'm going to share with you that I did pre-recorded with my friend Dale Bales, who is directing this show. So let's roll that interview, and then Chad and I will be back with final thoughts. Hello and welcome to another great interview here on the Speaking for Him podcast. Today I have the privilege of interviewing Dale Bales. He's the director for the upcoming production of The Imaginary Invalid. As of the posting of this podcast, it'll be about a week before the show opens. So I'm very excited to talk to him about this show. Welcome, Dale.
Well, thank you for having me.
First, just give us a little bit of a rundown on Imaginary Invalid. What are some of the highlights?
Well, The Imaginary Invalid was written by Moliere back in the late 1600s. It was a look at a satirical look at people worrying about all the ills that are running around. The imaginary invalid, the main character, Argon, is convinced by his doctors that he is very, very ill, needs a lot of treatments, a lot of medicines, and he's sitting around adding up all of his bills, trying to figure out how to pay less, basically. He wants to have his Affordable Care Act, but it ends up that the only thing he can really come up with is that he should marry his daughter, Angelica, off to a young doctor. So he arranges the wedding. And in the meantime, Angelica has fallen in love with another character, Cleon, and like I always say, hilarity ensues afterwards as those two have a collision of worlds and differing opinions.
Okay, that sounds like a very interesting premise, and I think February tends to be a good time for comedy shows because we're all kind of sick of winter, so we need something to laugh about, so I definitely appreciate that. Is this the first time you directed a show?
This is my first main stage show. I have directed sketches and worked with other directors doing things not necessarily as an assistant director, but helping out when asked. And so this sort of fell into my lap, and I was pretty excited about it.
This is the only
show. Was there something particular that drew you to this show? What makes you excited to direct it?
Actually, I wasn't too sure about what I thought about the show at first. But I ended up going to see a Moliere play at Stratford Festival, and they had taken that and put it in modern day. So seeing how something from the 1600s could be portrayed in modern day really sparked my interest. I remember sitting and watching it after I got done, and I said, I have to direct it now. And just reading it every time that I read through or the actors go through, there's something else that catches someone's eye, another point of laughter or contemplation, then breaking into laughter as we work through it. It's been something that I've been really blessed about.
So, are you doing it in modern day? Is that the plan?
We are not going to do it in modern day, but not too far off. We're going to do it in 1960s Paris.
Okay.
We're obviously not going to try to do all of the accents, but there's a lot of Monsieur and Madames and stuff like that, and we figured it would be better just to adapt it to a more modern time, so that it'd be more relevant, even though we're keeping 99% of the language and how it was written.
Yeah,
it works. It works very well. It was a good translation that we got.
It sounds like it's very adaptable, since you did see it performed in modern day. So it'll be very interesting to see the portrayal. And I think from what I've gathered in my time in theater, every director, every person that puts together a show has their own take on things. So I'm really interested to see the Master Arts take on Imaginary Invalid. What would you say, because I've heard this concern voiced, what would you say to someone that says there's not much substance to the Imaginary Invalid? Could you talk about that a little bit and what you think you find there as far as lessons?
Yeah, actually, part of the hardest decision I ever had to come up with concerning this play is what time period to put it in. And the thing is, I couldn't find a time period that it did not relate to. I could look through, and you've heard of snake oil salesmen going around and selling their miracle cure. When the Industrial Revolution was going on, there were all sorts of different machines that people had that would, make you taller, make you skinnier, make you, have more endurance. And there's just always been people trying to tell you how to get better that maybe don't really know how to get better themselves. They're more worried about lining their pockets. And that's part of what's brought out in this presentation also is one of the characters sends the apothecary away, and he's just like, I'll be want of being paid for it. And they're like, well, of course you're going to be paid for this. Just go. And it's just like, they're more worried about being paid than that. So I can see how that it relates to every day. We're always worried about medical care. You can, get online and you'll see so many different cures. Try this miracle fruit, or try this treatment, or I found the secret to the fountain of youth.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thought process, because another perspective to take on it is, no matter how hard we try to find the fountain of youth, we can't. We have to just live the best life we can while we have it, and none of us knows what we're promised, but we know that if we focus on what God has gifted us in and what the blessings He has bestowed upon us, we can have a fulfilled life. And so that is a very interesting thought process. So can you talk a little bit about the casting of the show and the cast that you chose?
This cast is phenomenal. I keep telling everyone that, and they're like always shaking their heads and saying yes. But we've got a mixture of new actors, some that have never been on the main stage at Master Arts, some that have never performed in Grand Rapids, but they've performed elsewhere. Then we have a few of our old standards, but people that you have seen around. The best part about it is they mix so well together in that while we're in rehearsal, the actors that aren't on stage can't stop from laughing. They're just enjoying what everyone else is doing so much that they just can't help it. I'm going to start kicking them out of rehearsals because we have to get through a scene without all the laughing. But we've got newcomers, our Mary Brown, who's been in a lot of shows in town, Juliana Voss, who is coming in. She's just moved into the Hudsonville area from Washington, D.C. Then we have Ron Hurd. He's been in a lot of different plays. And John Meadham, those two on stage are always fun. They have a very, very funny scene together that from the first time that they walked through the door doing it, it was phenomenal. And it just gets better every time we practice it.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since John Meadham actually has been on stage, so it's kind of nice to find out that he's in, I'm not sure if he tried out or got wrangled into it, but I'm looking forward to it because I know he has a lot of comedic skill. I will wrap this up quickly then. Can you tell us the run of the show? And then, after you do that, and tell us how to get tickets, then just close us out by letting us know
This is the
in a 30 to 45 second thought process, why should we come to this show?
All right. The show opens on February 15th, so be good next day after Valentine's Day present to go out to see the show. Runs through March 3rd, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7:30 at night. On the Saturdays, we also offer a 2 p.m. matinee. So for 3 weeks, we'll be putting the show on. You can get tickets by going to www.masterarts.org. They have the tickets available right online. If you want to call 616-455-1001, and someone will answer, and take down the information and get you some good seats. Why come and see a show? We all can relate to a lot of the things that are being said in the show, cost of medicine, the things that you may do selfishly that you think will benefit others, but you find out in the end that maybe they don't benefit each other. That the real, true meaning of family is being there for each other, and that family sometimes has to step up and take a difficult stand against you, and sometimes the ways that you think are right aren't always right. But in spite of all of those deep, heavy thoughts, and in the middle of comedy, you need to come out because if there is something that ails you can always remember that laughter is the best medicine.
All right, and I guess I will throw in one more question. You said this is your first main stage production directing. How does it feel compared to acting? And have you found something that you want to continue to do? Or is this kind of just a once-in-a-while thing and you want to get back on stage?
Well, I definitely will want to get back on stage. Actually, the directing helps light a little bit more of a spark within me. But I find that I'm really enjoying the directing, to be able to delve into characters. People think that comedy doesn't have much background, it's just a lot of laughs. But we are trying to develop characters that make people realize that could be them on stage, or they recognize something that's going on in their life, or something they've done in the past. So it's really fun to be able to just pull someone aside and suggest something and have them give it a try. It's nice to know that the actors trust me, that I can tell them to do something that might be outside their comfort zone. It may or it may not work, but that we work together, and working together as collaborating on this has been the best part of the show.
And I think that's something that I really enjoy about theater too, is just working with a group to make something happen. There's nothing like it. So thank you for your time, Dale, and we look forward to seeing Imaginary Invalid at Master Arts Theater coming up next week. We hope, everybody, that you'll get your tickets. Master Arts is an intimate venue. I believe a sellout is about 108, if I'm not mistaken. It goes up and down based on the setup of the black box, and so you want to get your tickets quickly. So just make sure that you avail yourself of the information that Dale mentioned earlier. All right. Well, there you have our interview with Dale Bales, the director of Imaginary Invalid, and I do hope that you will be able to come out to Master Arts Theater and check out that play. And there's actually a lot of exciting things happening with Master Arts. And I don't want to just talk about a lot of stuff that I don't know a lot about. So I will just say keep an eye on masterarts.org because there's a lot of exciting things happening. And as some of those things begin to come to fruition, hopefully we'll have the executive director, Mr. Timothy Van Bruggen, back in the studio, or at least on a phone interview to talk about how some of those things develop. But again, I'm very excited to have been able to share this with you, and I hope that you will be able to shake off some of that cabin fever by coming out to Master Arts to enjoy this play. This play, again, runs through March 3rd. I believe that's the day that we are going, my family, March 3rd in the matinee. And so if you are there that day, I would love to say hello. As you're listening to this, Chad, did you have any thoughts about, does this play or this story intrigue you from what you heard?
Yes, it is very intriguing, but community theater in general is very intriguing to me. I've always wanted to get involved in it, but I just never have the time to because I know it's a pretty big time commitment.
Well, once you cut down to like one job instead of 4 jobs and you don't have school anymore, maybe you can come out for Master Arts. Or, well, your kids could try out too, you know. That's what's good about community theater. Parents and kids work together often, so.
You put my son up on a stage and anything will become a comedy.
Well, there's plenty of comedic parts for kids like him, I assure you. But anyway, that is the show for today. I hope that you've enjoyed this interview, and I hope that you have a great weekend and keep serving the best of masters.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Your host has been Andrew Gomison, founder of Speaking for Him. For more information on today's show and to leave us comments and voicemails, visit speakingforhim.blogspot.com. You can find Andrew's ministry at speakingforhim.com. That's speaking, the number 4, HIM. You can also interact with us at facebook.com/speakingforhim and on Twitter at Speaking for Him. And when you look for us on iTunes and Stitcher, let us know what you think of the podcast by leaving a rating and review.